Final.
Cup championship bound, baby! Woo! Big up, baby! Woo! You hear it, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through.
We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship.
Bow, bow, bow! Let's go!
June 17th wasn't just another game. It was payback time. Remember May 30th, when J.C. Sheldon and the Connecticut Sun faced Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, and the Indiana Fever? What happened that night set the stage for a rematch nobody would forget.
On the floor? When the dirty plays went unpunished? Well, the Indiana Fever remembered everything. And when Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark right in the eye during this rematch, something snapped. What happened next will show you exactly why you don't mess with Clark's teammates.
Because Sophie Cunningham was about to become part of one of the most talked about moments of the season. If you support the Fever, comment down below, CC and Spicy Sophie, let's go. #3. Picture this, May 30th, Indiana Fever vs Connecticut Sunday. And from the very beginning, everything seemed to go wrong for Indiana. The game started like any other matchup between two WNBA teams fighting for position, but the Sun brought an intense level of physicality. The tension kept building from the opening tip.
Should be the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with J.C. Sheldon as Caitlin Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft.
Retreating, firing, and hitting!
So she can do that!
On Indiana arguing the call.
I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye.
Picture this, May 30th, Indiana Fever vs Connecticut Sunday. And from the very beginning, everything seemed to go wrong for Indiana. The game started like any other matchup between two WNBA teams fighting for position, but the Sun brought an intense level of physicality. The tension kept building from the opening tip.
Talk about the physicality for a second. Two players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was J.C. Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Colson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
Sophie Cunningham went down first with what looked like a deliberate hit. The contact was hard. Too hard for what should have been routine basketball. Then Sydney Colson got hurt in another questionable play that had everyone asking what exactly was happening out there. The worst part? J.C. Sheldon was right in the middle of both incidents.
Both teams were battling hard, but the aggressive style of play was beginning to frustrate the Fever. Every possession became more physical, and the atmosphere on the court continued to heat up. #5. Here's where the college history comes into play. Sheldon and Caitlin Clark had faced each other before during the Iowa vs Ohio State rivalry. Their previous matchups were always intense, with Sheldon closely defending Clark and making every possession difficult. By the time they met again in the WNBA, that competitive history had clearly followed them.
Oh, they say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the It's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're a physical player?
Here's where the college history comes into play. Sheldon and Caitlin Clark had faced each other before during the Iowa vs Ohio State rivalry. Their previous matchups were always intense, with Sheldon closely defending Clark and making every possession difficult. By the time they met again in the WNBA, that competitive history had clearly followed them.
Mortal enemy. Her mortal enemy. Took out a player. J.C. Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy. J.C. Sheldon.
The referees that May Day seemed to let everything slide, like they were watching a completely different game than everyone else.
As the game continued, the Fever became increasingly frustrated with the physical play and several dangerous-looking moments on the court. Indiana fought until the final buzzer but ultimately lost 85-83. Even more concerning, Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson left the game dealing with injuries, making the loss even harder for the Fever.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. There is no, and this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Colson is between her and the ball. Sid Colson is in fact between JC Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul. It wasn't even called as a foul.
Some of the physical plays became major talking points after the game. You could see the frustration on the faces of the Fever players. Caitlin Clark and her teammates knew they would eventually face Connecticut again. And when June 17th arrived, Clark was back from her quad injury and ready for another battle. It was only her second.
Text me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a three from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
JC Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
The game began with that same familiar intensity hanging in the air. Sheldon was once again assigned to defend Clark closely, staying with her on nearly every possession. Screens were physical, defensive pressure was high, and everyone in the arena could sense that this game might produce another controversial moment.
Straight into Clark's eye. The contact is immediate and obvious. You can see Clark's head snap back from the impact.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Clark immediately grabs her face, and you can see the pain and anger mixing together as she realizes what just happened. She's squinting, trying to clear her vision. But you know she's thinking about more than just the physical pain. This wasn't an accident. This was the same player who hurt her teammates, now coming after her with the same dirt.
Then came the third quarter. Clark was bringing the ball up the court when Sheldon stepped in to defend her. What looked like a routine defensive play quickly turned into a moment that had fans watching the replay from every angle.
When someone just jabbed their finger into your eye socket, any human being would react the same way. The crowd erupts because everyone saw what really happened, but somehow the referees are about to make this whole situation worse.
Hey,
I mean, is that displacement? I think
that
it is.
is. Oh, and Marina Mabry's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabry. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what
Clark appeared to get hit near the eye during the sequence. Frustrated by the contact, she reacted by pushing Sheldon away. In an instant, the situation escalated, and officials were forced to step in. #11. Clark stood there holding her eye as the arena erupted with confusion. Fans watched the replay boards, debating exactly what happened and whether the initial contact should have resulted in a different call.
In the eye. The decision made absolutely no sense to anyone watching.
The controversy became even bigger because Clark had just returned from injury and was trying to help lead the Fever back into form. The official's decision immediately became a major topic among fans, with social media exploding as viewers shared clips and opinions about the play.
Clark just scored 32 points in her first game back from injury, and now she's getting penalized for reacting to getting eye-poked by the same player who hurt her teammates. The technical foul call sends the wrong message to everyone watching. It tells players that they can go after Clark with dangerous plays, and if she reacts...
But the drama wasn't finished yet. Clark was still dealing with the aftermath of the eye contact when Marina Mabry entered the situation, leading to another shocking sequence that quickly captured the attention of everyone in the arena.
She'll be the one getting punished. But this eye poke was just the beginning. Marina Mabry was watching all of this unfold, and she was about to take things to a whole different level.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. JC Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see a little bit of drama all the way around. Tina, Charles, Clark, and Mabry, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Right after Clark gets that bogus technical foul, Marina Mabry decides
The hit was so obvious and unnecessary that even casual fans could immediately see something was wrong. Clark crashed hard to the floor, looking stunned after the contact. The Fever players reacted instantly, convinced that another dangerous play had happened right in front of the officials.
That's what Clark didn't like. Then Mabry came in with a bump.
And Mabry's day is almost assuredly going to be done. On both teams.
this wasn't basketball contact. This was straight up assault. Mabry body checked Clark like this is hockey instead of basketball, sending her tumbling backward onto the court.
The entire Fever bench jumped to its feet. Players were pointing toward Mabry and shouting at the referees, demanding that the officials take control of the situation. From their perspective, their star player had just been knocked down, and once again, they felt the response from the officials was not strong enough.
Marina Mabry comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
The crowd erupted as the tension continued to rise. Coach Stephanie White was furious on the sideline, arguing with the officials and repeatedly pointing toward the play. She believed the situation had gone beyond ordinary basketball contact and was frustrated that her players continued to be involved in increasingly physical moments.
Crowd is going absolutely crazy because
Mabry was given a technical foul, which only added to the controversy. Fans quickly compared the decision to the earlier incident involving Clark, who had also received a technical after reacting to contact near her eye. To many people watching, the punishment seemed inconsistent, and the officiating became one of the biggest talking points of the game.
You guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play, right? So the 3 referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over.
After the game, Stephanie White did not hide her frustration. She made it clear that when officials fail to control a physical game, situations can quickly get out of hand. White suggested that this had been a problem throughout the season and expressed concern about how repeated incidents were affecting her players.
They're saying, of course, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant 1, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabry, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
At that point, the message inside the Fever camp seemed clear, emotions were running high, and the team was determined not to be pushed around. Sophie Cunningham had watched everything unfold, including the earlier incidents involving Clark and the physical plays against her teammates. With less than a minute remaining and Indiana comfortably ahead 87-70, Cunningham saw JC Sheldon with the ball once again. The score was no longer the main focus. Cunningham appeared to be thinking about everything that had happened, including the physical May 30th matchup and the injuries and confrontations that followed. The tension that had been building for weeks was about to explode.
Get control of the ball game when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it.
Cunningham had not forgotten what happened in that earlier game. She remembered getting injured and watching the physicality continue around her and her teammates. Now, as Sheldon drove toward the basket, Cunningham made a decision that would immediately become the defining moment of the night.
Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, JC Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like it happened in a split second and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Cunningham committed a hard foul on Sheldon, bringing her down to the floor and triggering an immediate confrontation between the players. The play was ruled a flagrant 2, resulting in Cunningham's automatic ejection. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen were also ejected following their involvement in the altercation. 3 players were thrown out, and the final moments of the game turned into one of the most talked about scenes of the WNBA season. For Fever fans, Cunningham's actions represented her standing up for her teammates. For others, it was a reminder of how quickly emotions can boil over when physical games are not brought under control.
It's a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
While the confrontation dominated the headlines, Indiana's performance on the court was also impressive. Natasha Howard recorded her 50th career double-double with 16 points and 12 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell added 17 points as the Fever delivered a strong all-around team performance.
The entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, JC Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and JC are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section.
This was more than just another win over the Connecticut Sun. For the Fever, it showed that the team was determined not to be intimidated. The players stood together through an emotional and physical contest, and the victory sent Indiana to the franchise's first-ever Commissioner's Cup final. The win also delivered a message to the rest of the league. The Fever believed in protecting one another and were ready to compete with intensity when the pressure was at its highest.
Her miss at the rim for Aaliyah Boston, the league's top field goal percentage shooter in the WNBA, but it's Boston who comes up with the steal and the find to Howard. Clark working on the rookie. Clark on the drive. Hang, shot too strong. There's Howard to clean up.
And Clark working off the ball, comes off the stagger.
Third year in her WNBA in terms of setting up her teammates. Clark behind the back, feed inside. 2 more for Howard.
For Indiana fans, the June 17th game felt like a response to everything that had happened since the difficult May 30th loss. Clark had been involved in several controversial physical incidents, Cunningham had suffered an injury, and tensions between the teams had continued to grow. By the end of the night, Sophie Cunningham had become a major talking point for standing up for her teammates. The Fever walked away with the victory and proved that they were not willing to back down when challenged.
Fans were chanting, Sophie, Sophie. Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle and I don't think anybody...
This game showed that the Indiana Fever are more than just a talented basketball team. They play with emotion, intensity, and a strong sense of loyalty toward one another. When the pressure rises, the players have shown that they are willing to stand together. Now, the Commissioner's Cup final against the Minnesota Lynx awaits on July 1st. After everything that happened in this unforgettable matchup, one question remains. Can the Fever carry this same energy and unity into the biggest game of their Commissioner's Cup run?
Oh, Clark just took it away. It's a 2-on-1. Clark, bounce pass, pretty fine, and Mitchell won't miss from there.